So we're going to look now at planting a containerized plant, which is probably the most popular type of planting to implement is containerized. It's easy to purchase. You can get them at a myriad places now. Okay, right away I'm happy to see little white roots. Those tiny little roots are really the ones that are reaching out for the water and the nutrients in the soil and putting it in the pipe system of the xylem to carry it up to the leaves. So that makes me very happy to see that they're white and fleshy like that. That's an indicator of a good root system. So I'm going to be removing just gently as much of this media as I can. And this media is what we would call, or what in the trade we call, a soilless media. So there really is no soil in this. It's pine bark fines largely, and it is the only real soil in it is usually sand, which is to help, interestingly enough, with water retention, which seems kind of strange, but also to help with weight, because pine fines are really light and that sand helps to hold the containers down. I'm not really seeing any circling roots from that outermost layer of the container yet, which pleases me. This red bud did not start in that container that we pulled it out of. It started in a smaller container and then a smaller container before that, so we are still likely to hit some circling roots. And here we have one actually at that container level right there. If we had just put this in the ground straight away, none of what we're getting ready to uncover would we be able to find and address. And when we pull back to the idea of wanting to create an environment where a tree can live a long life to help us reap the rewards of energy conservation and, in my opinion, mental health benefits as well, then it's well worth the effort to invest some time and energy into planting it well and giving it the best opportunity it can to grow. If you're watching this, you may be upset that I am removing this media, but if this media is left in there, there were pockets where it was moist and there were pockets where it was bone dry. And that is a problem with this media. Once you get it in the landscape, it actually, when it dries out, will repel water. So again, if we just took this out of the container, put it in the ground, all of your media is still on it. You around here have a heavy clay loam soil, and then you've got this soilless media. Your water is going to run straight through this. It's not going to be held, and it's going to run right out into the surrounding soil, out of reach of this. So where your roots are is going to stay dry pretty much. That's why you see a lot of deaths in landscapes within the first year, quite honestly, is because that media dries out even when you are getting rain, or even sometimes if it is getting watered, because that media just repels the water. So it really is good to get rid of as much of that as you can. So if you see these roots here, those don't make me feel good. That's actually come from an earlier prune, and then they've sprouted out, but I want the roots going out this way, out radially, not circling back around. So we're going to have to address that before we plant. And then girdling roots are this stem, this root right here, that's actually impacting the stem already, and this root down here, which would be really easy to miss, that is already impacting the stem. When there is root to stem contact, that's when you have a girdling root, and that's when you start getting restriction of xylem. That's the early stages of strangulation, basically. So we're definitely going to want to remove those. And then we'll really be able to tease these roots out, a lot of them, and get them going out radially. It's always a good point to make too. If the root, like here, there's already contact with that stem, I don't want to pull that off. It's kind of like you're going to leave a wound in the tree, basically, because that's already impacted the stem. So you see how I cut on either side of that? I cut here, and then I cut on the opposite side. I'm just going to leave that piece there. The tree will either grow over it or it will shed it. but I'm not going to pull that off. If I pulled that off, I would pull off an outer layer of bark too and leave the stem open, which may or may not end up being a problem for the tree. It's just an invitation for, it's a stress on the tree for one thing, but it's an invitation for insect and potential disease when you leave a wound like that on a tree. Now what I'm going to do over here with this mess, some of this, I feel pretty good that I can redirect that out. And that's gonna, and I feel okay about that. We'll get rid of that curve. I'm gonna do a little snipping down here just so I can manipulate these roots out. See how nicely once I cut that little piece? And that's still tender enough, soft enough that I can pull that out without breaking it. So I actually feel pretty good to start digging a hole for this right now. So I'm gonna put the grade level of this at the top level of this pot, and you'll see the difference in depth, which from doing this many times with various research trials when we've done this, you can end up digging a 6 to 8 inch hole instead of a 18-inch hole. It's much easier to dig 6 to 8 inches down than it is deeper. The deeper you get, typically the harder it is to dig. Who cares if you're using an auger or a tiller, but if you're doing it with a shovel like we are here today, it's nice to hear that. I'm gonna get down to about 8 inches, and then I'm gonna put this in just like we did with the B&B and make sure my height is right, because I don't want to get to the point where I'm over digging and then backfilling. Now you remember, these roots are the ones that have been going like that. If they stayed going like that, that is of concern, because they're eventually gonna come in contact with that stem. But they're so young, I can easily move them back, and as I backfill with soil, I can make sure that the soil is weighting them down. And this watering in, creating a slurry, mudding in, however you want to refer to it, remember, helps settle the soil, helps create really wonderful soil to root contact, which is really important. And it will help stabilize. It'll help stabilize the tree, and it'll help get rid of air pockets in the soil. So again, do that along the way, not just at the end when you're planting, if at all possible. So again, mulching, when you get finished, the appropriate depth is only 2 to 3 inches, which is far less than many, if not most, people use. A mulch like this, wood chip, that's going to break down readily to add to the soil, the organic matter in the soil, and you're not piling it up against the base of that trunk. So think of it like a donut, and your trunk is coming out of the hole in the donut. It's going to help keep the soil cooler, and it's going to help maintain moisture level in the soil.